Relatively cool morning. This is Safari Live. Ready? Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Good morning everyone. I'm FW and with me on camera I've got Eggsy this morning. It is a lovely 21 degrees centigrade and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Nice and cool, nice and wet this morning. Awesome to be out in the bush. Our plans for this morning is to head over to Cheetah Plains and see if there's any good activity around there. Maybe pick up on that buffalo or the lions or the leopards that Brent had yesterday afternoon. So let's keep our fingers crossed, let's keep moving and make our way there slowly, see what is happening this morning. It was so nice to wake up to a bit of rain this morning, getting the ground nice and soaked. I don't know how much it's rained thus far, but it looks relatively wet already, so maybe it started somewhere during the night and just kept going. Nice soft rain, so it's not doing any damage to the bush, no erosion to be expected from this type of rain, but it is really beautiful out here. Everything smells so clean. Some Impala up ahead and a Nyala. Let's stop here. You can see both. Just to the left of us, there is the Nyala and Impala just in front of him. All standing very still this morning, not trying to get too wet. Shame. Yeah, there's not a huge amount of cover around. You can see all the water droplets hanging off the leaves and the thinner branches. And you can see a bit of rain as well. Nice puddles on the ground. So today we're going to need to be very careful of tortoises moving around on the roads. After this bit of rain, they come out for a drink and they just move quite a bit with this cooler weather, so they're enjoying it, trying to keep warm, I suppose. Well, let's keep moving, head over to Cheetah Plains. While we keep moving towards Cheetah Plains, we're going to head over to Taylor, who wants to say good morning as well.
Good morning once again and welcome to the soggy sunrise safari today. Not that it's bad, it's actually extremely pleasant out here today. Now my name is Taylor McCurdy and on camera with me this morning is VM, lurking in the darkness underneath the covers. Now our mission this morning is to see if we can find the Nkuhuma Pride. They were seen yesterday, in case you didn't watch the sunset safari, is we had them just on Arathusa. They were finishing off a buffalo kill and there wasn't very much left on that carcass, so I suspect that they could have got moving. However, there could be a challenge in tracking them today because we have had a lovely soaking rain most of the night, which means that not only has it soaked the ground, but it also would have washed away some of our tracks, which can be quite difficult when it comes to looking for animals. It's one of the things you rely on most, is not necessarily finding them by sight, but initially following their footprints on the ground to lead to greater things. But we will just head back straight to the last spot where they were seen, and maybe we get very lucky and well, they're still there. Now remember, this is a live safari in case you were wondering. You're more than welcome to interact with myself and Evia and Brent will either be out on a walk a little bit later or possibly in the tent, depending what the weather will decide for him this morning. But you can hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or send us some questions through to questions@WildEarth.TV if you'd like to have a chat with us. There's lots of hyena footprints on the road. I just want to quickly see who's making this mess on this side. So, let me quickly turn around. Let's do this. Okay, there is a gap. Let me jump out quickly. There's a lot of mess going on. You can see it actually quite nicely just by looking over here, even without me having to go down. Something was running, turning, smelling, and it looks as though there was a big hyena running around here, but then there's also lion tracks. Now it looks as though it's very hard to tell, because you can see if you look at a track like this, the rain has completely destroyed it now. And it looks like a big male lion was walking down the road as well, and there was a hyena following on the other side, and I think it has come across and smelt over the top. But these tracks were initially put here very early in the evening, just when we were starting to get the rain. There's quite a bit of water damage to them, but we will follow them. Perhaps this lion track is going straight towards the carcass of where the Nkuhumas were last seen, which you'll see, and it's very difficult to tell, but actually on this side of the road there's a whole lot of hyena footprints. You can see them there, and that's very typical to have something like a hyena following a lion, because potentially it could lead it to a carcass. And maybe if we don't find any lions on the carcass, hopefully we will find some hyenas having a feast. Over the corrugations we go. We'll try and go very slowly. We'll just keep an eye out over here though, just because these tracks, as it hits the harder sand, become a little bit more difficult to follow, but we still have them. Right, so we're not too far from where we had those lines, so we're going to head straight in those direction, and hopefully we get something, knobthorn clearing. But I'm going to send you back across to Evia and see how his journey towards Cheetah Plains is going.
Welcome back. We're almost on the boundary. There's a nice yellow-billed hornbill just in front of us. Just having a quick look around the Twin Dams area. Maybe Karula or the two cubs are somewhere in this area, so just gonna bypass there before we head over to Cheetah Plains. Just make sure that there's no cats in this area. Look how wet this oak is. It looks like he's just come out of a shower. Hopefully they'll get a bit of sun later and they can splay their wings out and dry up a bit. Look quite funny when they're wet. I think let's keep moving. Quickly check Twin Dams before we hit the long road over to Cheetah Plains. So with this type of weather we're having, and a good question from Ashley is asking, do animals tend to be less active or more inactive in this weather? Ashley, it all depends. Sometimes they'll hide. If it's quite cool, they'll hide and try and be inactive, stay in the thicker areas. But this is brilliant weather for cats. They like moving around in this type of weather. First of all, they come to the roads quite often. They don't like the bush where there's a lot of chances for them getting wet. The roads are nice and clear and no grass, no trees above them that they might touch and water dropping onto them. But the other herbivores and stuff, they'll be in the thicker areas, trying to stay close to one another, get a bit of body heat and not do too much. You'll get a bit of movement here and there. If it's just a quick thunderstorm, it drops the heat down, cools the place up a bit, and it goes again. It clears up almost immediately. Some impala crossing the road in front of us. Then they're quite happy with the rain. Just a nice cool down and life's a bit better. Just gonna let these impala do their thing. The roads can be quite slippery, so we don't want them too excited and they bolt off and maybe slip or something, so we'll leave them to do their thing. There they are to the right of us. 3 male. So we are on Twin Dams having a quick look around if Karula or the cubs might have come into this area. It doesn't look like there's anything at the moment, just these 3 impala. And then we're going to carry on towards Cheetah Plains this morning, see if we can get any luck with those lions or the leopards that Brent had, and maybe, who knows, a cheetah pops up on those big open areas. So yeah, let's wait and see. I'm quite excited to head back to Cheetah Plains. It's been treating me quite well over the time that I've been here, so fingers crossed. Let's go and see what's happening that side. Folks, we're gonna hit the road, cover a bit of distance, but while we do that, let's go see what Taylor is up to.
So we've just found some evidence of a lion. You can see there's some lion dung just in the road over there. And there are a couple of tracks coming back and forth. So we're gonna head around the corner because the carcass is right here. And then if we don't get any luck here, maybe we see, because there's a lot of hyena tracks coming in and out, maybe we see a hyena on the carcass or some vultures. And then we were going to go and check Red Dam, where they've been going back and forth to drink water. Oh, look at all the vultures. So that means that the lions aren't here. Ah, hyena! Okay, we love the vultures, but I know how much you love hyena. Let's have a view. Hyenas, hyenas, look at all the hyenas. Amazing. There are so many hyenas here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is so cool. We'll have a look at this one, this youngster. This is amazing, finally. Here we go. Oh my word, yay! I'm so excited. This is the first proper sighting I've had of hyenas. Now, I know that you all know these hyenas so well, so I hope that you can assist me with trying to ID them. This is very interesting, being able to ID hyenas. So please hashtag Safari Live with your answers as to who we have got over here. And well, maybe I can learn, and I've got my notebook handy so I can take some notes. But it looks like this one is probably a male. And the reason why I said young, just because its coat doesn't look as tattered as what hyenas' coats normally get to. You can see it's quite light in color. But he doesn't look too small. Let's see who's coming over now. I'm just checking around me to see if there's any more. But now we know that the lions are definitely not here, because they would have chased these hyenas well away. Hello, beautiful. My favorite carnivore in the whole world, hyenas. It's only taken 3 months. I'm so excited. I'm just going to call this in on the radio very quickly. There's no sign of the Nkuhumas at the Bamba. However, there are 5 Misi here, Goodring, as well as my Ningi Korti. It's just myself, just off Knobthorne Open. Are you more than welcome to? There we go. Of course, when you hear that there's something like a hyena around, you're not going to waste any time at all. You're going to come racing over here. It's one of the animals that are in the ugly 5. I don't think that they're too ugly. But also they are just incredibly misunderstood creatures. They are so intelligent. A lot of people only think that they scavenge, but they are exceptionally good at scavenging too. But isn't this fantastic? And we might be able to see as this one tries to break through the bone. Let's see. Here we go. Now, it looks like this one has got the rib bone of the buffalo. And William, you were actually wondering what they were eating. So hyenas are specialist scavengers. Look at them, they're going to play now. They get all excited, all greeting each other. Hello, hello. And sorry, William. So basically what they're doing now is the lions would have feasted on a substantial amount of that carcass. There wasn't much left. But now the cleanup crew come in, and it's often why we don't see too many carcasses around and decaying animals around, is because the vultures and the hyenas are largely responsible for cleaning up those carcasses. Now, the hyenas have got the second most powerful jaw out of the animals in Africa, the crocodile being number 1. And they use those big jaws to be able to crush through bone. And ideally, they want to feed on the bone marrow. It's very high in fat and full of protein, so it's very good for them. And they're one of the few animals that are able to utilize something like bone marrow. It's very difficult for lions to crush bone like hyenas are able to. And also, lion and leopard digestive system isn't as strong as the digestive juices that are in a hyena's stomach and in their saliva, is that they're even able to digest bone that's probably a couple of inches. It's about 7 centimeters, which is a massive piece of bone. So you can see, cracking open, getting to the brain cavity is not an issue for a hyena. You can see there, and eating all the skin around the horns, that tough hide, absolutely no match for a hyena's digestive system. They will eat the hooves, they will eat anything and everything. Nothing goes to waste. And like the lions, very, very big bellies. They're able to distend their stomachs quite a large amount. Look at that. Isn't this amazing? And look at the power that this beautiful hyena has got. She picked that up with no problem at all. And the best thing about hyenas is that they're normally so relaxed around the vehicle. And this is my favorite. We were very privileged down in the south. We saw massive clans of hyenas. And one day there was a hippopotamus that had died. And after the lions fed on it for a few days, they eventually moved off. And I think there were 2 different clans there, because there was a lot of vocal sort of calling. There was a bit of animosity between some of the hyenas that were running in. They were being chased off by other members of the clan, of a different clan. But there must have been about 50 of them. Oh, that was a hooded vulture that very quickly swooped past your screen. And they're trying to come in and get a couple of scraps. But unfortunately, the vultures can't feed on the bone. That's really just left to the hyenas. Here we go. Very, very easily able. You can see getting that nice tasty reward now. There we go. See how they push the bone almost right to the back of their jaw where their most powerful part is. And then they crunch down on it. You can actually hear the bone crunching. And very much like how a leopard feeds, you see that, constantly looking over its shoulder. Also because these hyenas will run at each other and steal bits from each other, but you can see she looks like she must be the dominant one in this clan. Now Ladybug, you are actually asking if this hyena is fat or pregnant. I think it's a combination of the two. From what I can see, it looks as though her mammary glands are swollen, but it's a little bit difficult to tell because of her big belly is actually in the way slightly. But you can actually just start to see her teeth sort of swelling quite a bit there. So I reckon it's a combination of having a food baby as well as probably some cubs inside there as well. But what a lovely little clan, and it's so peaceful. Well, thank you so much for sending in, of course, how to identify these hyenas. And I'd love it if anybody has got something that they've put together to please send it through, because it would help me immensely. And apparently this hyena that we're looking at with the sort of tattered left ear that's feasting on the buffalo skull, you said that this is Corky. Now, I need to get my notebook out for this. I think identifying hyenas is well done, because that is an exceptional talent. Unless they've got any obvious signs like limps or scars and things on their legs or in their ears, I can't really identify them. I think it's very, very tough. So well done. So Corky, I'm making a hyena page now. Hyenas. Have to add those things in. We get Corky. So now I need to know more about Corky. Who is Corky? How old is Corky? What is Corky's favorite color? And are there any obvious signs that you use to identify Corky other than the tattered ear that she has on her left? But maybe there's something else. Remember, hashtagging Safari Live on Twitter, or either questions@WildEarthTV. There are very, very, very few people in this world who are able to identify hyenas, clans, and different clans of hyenas. So I'm going to need all the help I can get. You can see them all. Absolutely having a field day. And then there's one even further to the right that said, I'm done now. My stomach is full. I'm probably going to have a little sleep here. Here's the vulture again. You can see, look, they're not happy with the vulture. They're going to chase the vulture off now. You can see chasing it just off to the left. Now, Bobby, you were actually wondering if hyenas just scavenge, or are they good hunters? Sorry, we just got sneaking past. So Bobby, they're very, very good at hunting. So good at hunting. Now, I can't say I've watched hyena catching kudu on a number of different occasions. So they'll catch what they can get. They particularly will take down Impala lambs, wildebeest lambs, anything along those lines too. And I want to, once this vehicle is settled in, I might change my position just a little bit so we can watch the vultures on the tree just in the distance as well. Try and get them all in one go. But look at them. They are so happy. Now, what I'd love is actually if somebody from another clan decided to come passing through, just so that we could get the vocalizations. And that's probably my favorite part about hyenas, when they get excited or when they get agitated with either a member, a less dominant member in their clan, or perhaps somebody from another clan has come sneaking along and gets a bit too close. It's always really, really amazing to watch. Oh, she's a big girl. Now, Amber, you're actually wondering why is a group of hyenas called a clan and not a pack? Now remember, these are collective nouns again, so somebody has decided to give the hyenas a clan. I can't imagine what the difference between a clan, a pack, and a pride would be. Obviously, they all have their slight different meanings. But I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, why they wouldn't be called a pack of hyena. I suppose that name was given to the dogs, so maybe that was already established and something else had to be used. I don't think clan works well. They are very loyal to each other, as well as a pride would be. They're all very exceptionally sociable creatures too. And that's why they are so effective, not only at scavenging, but of course hunting too. And you can see they get nervous. That was from vultures taking off. Excuse me. Excuse me. And thank you, Louise. Chasing each other around. Now, Mike, you were saying this morning if hyenas would ever resort to cannibalism if they were starving. It wouldn't surprise me. Hyenas will eat their own kind, especially if they have died. So say they've gone in to try and overthrow a pride of lions feeding on a carcass, and one hyena gets taken out in the process, say by a big male lion. They will, and once those animals have moved off, once the big cats have gone off, the hyenas will come through again, clean up the carcass, as well as clean up the remnants of the hyena that had been killed by a lion. That's not uncommon at all. Whether they would physically kill to feed on it, I would never don't put it past you with hyenas. They will surprise you. They are efficient. They are incredibly intelligent as well. I've never seen it though, and I don't think it is very, very common. But disputes can happen very easily. And if one does get killed in the process, or even if one that, like I said, is passing by, gets a bit too close to a clan, they'll turn on it. And then, well, I suppose it depends on what mood you catch these animals on. And you can see they're definitely keeping a wide berth from what looks to be, maybe, I think Corky could be the most dominant female in this clan. They all seem to, you can see she's very bossy. She keeps chasing everybody off, and no one really puts up a fight. They sort of let her take whatever she wants. Right, we're going to stick around with these hyenas for a little bit longer, but let's go all the way to Evia, who has now arrived at Cheetah Plains.
So we've made it safely to Cheetah Plains and we're on the prowl out here, seeing if we get lucky. I think what we'll do the northern side of Cheetah Plains first, then the eastern side towards the Kruger Park boundary, and then all the way down to the Mala boundary, and then start scratching around in the middle, see if we don't get lucky. Maybe some cheetah or something have crossed the boundary and coming to the area. So keeping these fingers crossed, and anything else that you can cross them, and let's hope we get lucky. It's been mostly quiet this morning. Haven't seen much game moving around. Everything's still hiding from us. So we need to really hope that the cats work with us this morning. It's a lot of fun when you're out in the rain and wet conditions. Every now and then you start slipping and sliding, so you play around with the vehicle a little bit. Luckily it's not that wet yet, so we're not getting too much of that. But yeah, it can be quite entertaining when you start playing around, and well, the bush actually starts playing with you. You just have to embrace it and carry on. picking up some funny scents. This Ellen, you hoping to see quarantine male leopard this morning? Lions. So we've made it all the way to the southern boundary of Cheetah Plains, and we've got, I'm not sure, but I'm guessing the Styx Pride. There are 3 lionesses and the male. I didn't see any cubs, so the 1 lioness is on her own, doing her own thing, and then the 2 lionesses with the male in closer proximity. There's also some zebra that are sneaking up onto these sleeping lions. They've kept moving towards them, but they're standing still. They've been standing still for a bit now. I think they're just keeping an eye out on those predators, making sure that they don't get... oh, there we go. Let's move out the area and leave these lions in peace. Still keeping a look on them, just having a look. I think those zebra might come back in our direction. I wonder if these lions left the cubs somewhere and they might have gone out on the prowl last night looking for some food. So I don't think, if it's the Styx, and I don't think they're going to have the cubs with them. They're going to probably have hidden them somewhere in a nice safe place and then carried on trying to find food. If they do find food, the mum will often go back and go and feed the cubs again, and even bring them out with them if it's not too far. The beauty of being live on African safari. Sometimes you have a bit of tough times and the tech issues arise, and then when we come back we find you some awesome things to look at. So yeah, spectacular. Glad to hear everyone's as excited as I am to see these lions again. Looked like something Jabe. Unfortunately, we're on a boundary road, so at this stage we can't get any closer unless those lions decide to come in our direction. They are just outside of our traverse, so unfortunately we can't get any closer at this stage. So let's keep our fingers crossed that they're not too lazy and maybe want to start moving again, and they do decide to come in our direction. But yeah, let's keep enjoying them. What this does give us an opportunity for, being at this bit of a distance, is any activity we get from these lions with the zebra in interaction, maybe we'll be able to pan out and see the whole thing unfold. That's one of the beauties of these open plains. They give you that opportunity to just while we stay with these lions and see the story unfold, folks, we're going to head back over to Taylor and see what she's up to.
So we have left the hyenas to try and have a search for the Nkuhuma Pride. However, with the amount of rain that we have, it is making it difficult to try and establish a direction that these lions have moved in. However, they were coming last night. I don't know if you remember, we had that one lioness come to Red Dam and have a drink, and the rest would have done exactly the same. So my suspicions are that they're not at the kill. The vultures are there, the hyenas are there. I wonder if they didn't go to Red Dam and then carry on going north again. Because if they had done that, they probably would have crossed Parallel Road. So we're just going to check Parallel Road just to make sure. It's sort of a nice road in between Triple M and then coming into Djuma, because Triple M can be a very busy road and a very, very difficult road to track on with it being so busy. Of course, lots of different vehicles going over the tracks. Anti-poaching will use those roads quite often, so there could have been anything that would have walked there, but the chances that those tracks would have been wiped away by a combination of the rain as well as the vehicles is much higher than on this little road. Oh, let's see, maybe we haven't even crossed out yet. It could still be lurking around here somewhere. Actually, I don't know if lurking for lions is the right word. I think hyenas lurk, and I think lions maybe lounge around. Maybe we should check. Leopards lurk. VM says leopards lurk. There's a lion. We've got the Nkuhumas. Wonderful. Hi, girls. We've got 3 lionesses. I'm just going to go forward. I just want to investigate a little bit more and just actually have a look around us. Yes, the whole pride. I found them. Hi, lions. Hi, lions. It's going to get us a nice shot. Here we go. And the little cubs are on their way. Let me call this in because there are a couple of guides helping. Let me actually just exactly check which junction I'm on. Right. The mobiles are relocated on the Nkuhuma Hlambi. They're just off Parallel Road. It's just myself here, space for 2. I'm going to have to do a lot of talking. I can only suspect on the radio now. We'll see if anybody can hear me. Hello, little cubs with their big bellies. Nice and full, as you can see. They don't look too impressed, though, that they've been rained on. They look a little bit miserable this morning. At least you all have full tummies. Now, I can only see 3 lionesses. I don't know if there's maybe another lioness where the cubs have been laying, or another 2 lionesses where the cubs are. But we'll have a little look around here. And it isn't uncommon for them to sort of lie scattered out like this. This is very normal. So don't be alarmed in any way. Can any mobiles copy me? Okay, copy. Thanks, Jamie. There we go. Just checking that they did get the message. And it's amazing. These little lions don't even look like lion cubs anymore. They're getting so big now. They're looking more and more adult-like every single day. Starting to lose their fluffiness now. Bless you. They look very, very... They make me nervous when they look like this. After the rain has dampened them, they look very scary. The big eyes, their bodies that are a bit dark now, a little bit mangy. But I think they'll be okay. And then, of course, their wet coats. No, too full. I'm just going to lay right down over here. Oh, it's a big yawn from a little lion. Well, they're all huddled up underneath the smallest wattle you've ever seen. Hello, little girl. Not fans of the rain, this lot. Now, Michael, you were wondering, and you were saying that Nkuhuma's main food source over the winter, the drier months, was buffalo. You're very correct in saying that. So now you're wondering, will the lions have to expand the type of food that they're going after because the buffalo have now regained their strength? The herds have also split up and have moved out of this area. They will have to indeed. They're going to have to start looking for something like kudu. Like I said, in the south, we noticed that in the summer months... Sorry, I'm just listening to the Game Drive radio again. They used to catch kudu quite often. Kudu, and then they were catching lots and lots of warthogs, the odd zebra. We didn't see the Southern Pride feeding on many zebra, just occasionally. But yes, they will. And they'll be fine. Obviously, they prefer something like a buffalo because it is big enough for them to feed on for a good amount of time. So that's one of the reasons why they would prefer to go for a buffalo over a kudu, is the fact that it would last a little bit longer. However, they're not going to say no to a wildebeest or a zebra or anything really. They'll eat whatever they can catch. All the little ones catching up on some grooming. Obviously, they've been racing around and maybe playing with each other during the night. Now, Cat in Tampa, good morning to you. You would like to know how far the lions are from the hyenas. They're not far at all, actually. Less than a mile. Probably only about half a mile away. So it's not far at all. And this road is just tucked away a little bit. You don't see it. You would never see these from the junction that we passed earlier. So I think they drank water. Like I said, they cut straight across from Red Dam and came back this way. And I think that they are probably on their way back north again. I will suspect that this evening that they will probably be back in Djuma. Maybe they even get moving now. It's a nice, fresh, cool day. So it wouldn't surprise me at all. Where are the other two lionesses? I haven't seen them yet. Have you seen them yet, Wiem?
Nope.
Maybe they're just lying off somewhere around the corner. I mean, the tree that they are sitting under isn't really the biggest tree to try and keep the rain off of you. You can see it's a small little wattle. There's a silver cluster leaf and a bush willow also growing there that they're trying to hide underneath. Well, I'm so happy that the Nkuhumas were an easy find this morning because tracking them would have been an absolute disaster. But at least we managed to find them again. But Brent is out and about now, ready for his walk. Let's go across and say good morning to him.
Morning, and welcome to the bushwalk. We're just strolling out of camp, la-ti-da. Now, we were going to go help Taylor look for those lions, but it seems like they've made it easy for her. Now, you notice I don't have my stick today. I'm going to have to find a temporary replacement. I forgot it at home this morning. Also, I haven't brought my butterfly checklist with. Firstly, this morning's not a good morning for butterflies. Very damp. They're going to be not moving around too much. And secondly, I don't want my checklist to get wet in case the weather changes. But, however, it is a good morning for birds. So maybe we'll try do some birding. We're going to head now slightly to the west. Maybe see if we find any sign of Karula. And let's start heading over the open areas. Of course, we might find some wonderful new flowers that might have popped out over this cloudy, overcast period with the rain. I've been looking for pink bells. One of the flowers I have not seen this year yet. Remember, this is a live African bushwalk, and if you want to ask me any questions, use the hashtag SafariLive or pop me an email to questions@wildearth.tv. Okay, it is a lovely morning for a walk. The temperature's nice and cool. As you can see, there's a lot of moisture on the soil, so that's why we're wearing boots today. Don't want to get wet toes. But the wonderful thing about being live out here in the African bush is you literally never know what you're going to find. And we found some wild basil. Yeah, you can see that that bright purple. Those are actually modified leaves, and they're to help attract insects through to the plant. And there's the white flower underneath. Very strong smelling. You can actually use it in cooking. Goes very well with lamb and with beef, actually. What you like to do is marinate the basil in a bit of olive oil and a bit of balsamic vinegar, and then pop your meat in there. Let it sit for about 2 hours. Mwah! Delicious. Well, it seems like the big cats are out and about. No leopards just yet. Lions everywhere. So let's fly off to the east on Cheetah Plains to look at those lions with airfare.
These lions are still very, very, very lazy. Not much happening from them. Those zebra have run off to the other side of the clearing and beyond. I don't know where they went. They were quite upset, gave a couple of snorts and just ran off. But yeah, the lions not really bothered by them at all. They didn't even react to them. Just the male still with his head up. The females are all taking a nice nap. So yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed that they decide to move around a bit, but by the way things are looking at the moment, it's going to test our patience this morning to wait for that. Something's just got their attention there. Android would like to know if or what is the lifespan of a lion. Females, I would say a good life for a female would be around 15 to maybe 18 years. That'll be pushing it quite a bit, but females tend to live longer than males. Males in areas where we are, there's a lot of competition for territories. So in my opinion, if a male gets to 12, 13 years of age, he's had a really, really good life. Most of the time, you can work maybe on an average of about 10 to 13 years would have been a long life for a male lion. If he's weak or there's anything wrong with him earlier on, and he might even have a territory, he's gonna get kicked out quite quickly. And most often after being kicked out of a territory, especially if it was serious fighting, the injuries that they do sustain from fights are horrific, and they normally succumb of that. And on their own, hunting does become a little bit more difficult, so they start scavenging quite a bit. And if there's no luck, then it's a tough life for these magnificent creatures. But I think it's very important that things do run the way they do run out here, and the best genes keep these populations going. So if you're a weak link, unfortunately it's a tough life when you're out in the bush. It's amazing the camouflage that these creatures have. When we got here, it looked like termite mounds in the distance, and especially when they're not moving. I just saw these funny colored things. You can see they almost disappeared already. And had a good look with my binoculars, and oh, hello lions. So yeah, crazy. You can imagine if there was very long grass here, we would have driven straight past here and these lions would never have been seen this morning. So thankfully for the nice short open area and being able to spot things at a distance. Ilana, you are wanting to know about lions if they can survive without water for a long time, seeing as they drink the blood of their prey. Lions are very water dependent, so they need a fair amount of water as well, even if they're drinking the water of their, or the blood of their prey. They'll maybe do that for the first day. If they, let's say they killed a buffalo, they'll do that for the first day or so and then still go for a drink. So lions can go without water for a couple of days maybe, but they need water at least once a day or as often as they can if it's really tough. There are animals though in the drier parts, in the Kalahari desert and the desert areas, so the oryx for example, they get a lot of the moisture that they need from the plants that they eat. So remember, in the desertous areas there's a lot more succulent plants that do hold a lot of water or moisture, and that allows them to get the requirements that they need until they get to a proper watering hole that they can have a drink at then. Nice bird calling, a rufous-naped lark. Somewhere in the area of where the lions are, somewhere probably sitting high on one of these bushes in this clearing and just having a look at the world. I'm going to try and scan around with the binoculars and see if we can find it. I think, no, that's a dead stick there. A whole host of bird life all of a sudden now. Is that male stretching a bit there? Marsha, you'd like to know what the weirdest thing is I've seen on safari. So, on one of those backpack trails in the Kruger National Park, it's on the Willifants River, and 2012 there was quite a bit of flooding in this area that we are in. Flash floods, big rains. The lodge that I worked at that stage basically had its annual rainfall in about 36 hours. So a lot of water, all these big river systems flooding. And one thing with the Lowveld, we tend to build camps on these riverbeds. or close to rivers because it's pretty. So this river flooded the Olifants River, and I think it took with it a lot of different things. So the first time I was on this backpack trail, we were walking along and we started finding fridges and gas canisters that was washed down, and yeah, it's just things that are so big that you can't carry it out, and it's so remote that you can't get to those areas with a vehicle. But it's quite entertaining walking past in the middle of the bush on a hot day and you see this fridge just standing there, and obviously not working or doing anything, but and in close proximity there's a gas canister that's also just hanging out there. So funny, not ideal to see those things in places like that, but that is unfortunately how things go. Floods do a lot of damage and break lodges. The one lodge at the company I was working at the time got washed away completely, and it was closed for 6 months after having to rebuild the whole thing. So that's quite a weird thing. Animal wise, the weirdest, most exciting sighting I've ever had was lion and leopard interaction, and a sad end to the whole thing, but that was, yeah, the leopard got killed by the lions eventually. But yeah, it's amazing, weird, awe-inspiring, all of that mixed together. You can't explain the emotions that you had in a sighting like that. It's not a sighting I would want ever again, but yeah, that's probably the two weirdest things I've found out in the bush. I think the male's joining them and having a good snooze now. He gives us a glimmer of hope every now and then, just lifting his head. So, males and their manes. And Joe would like to know at what age they start developing the mane. Joe, from a very young age you can start seeing the mane is there. So from about 6 months you start seeing the mane. It's like a little bit of extra hair on the face, and as they keep growing, by about a year you can tell a male quickly. You can just see, okay, well, there's a bit of mane, and it keeps growing into adulthood. And once they around 4 or 5 years, they've got the body size, they've got the mane properly, and that is when they start getting into their own and start maybe fighting for territories and looking for a chance to take over a territory. Folks, I'm going to leave these lines and carry on and see what else we can find on Cheetah Plains. But in the meantime, while we go in search of anything else, we're going to head over to Brent and see what he's up to on bushwalk. Just hold on. I think he maybe wants to mate. Let's just have a look before we do anything. He looks interested. He's smelling. If he turns his head towards us, you'll see a big smile on his face. It's the phlegm and grimace. He's trying to smell and taste if there's any good signs for him that he might get a chance to mate, if this female is an estrus or not. Okay, maybe we'll stick out a little bit longer here and figure out what's happening. There we go. There you can see that funny smile, the phlegm and grimace. It's a thing in the palate of these mammals that it's called the organ of Jacobson, and that basically uses smell and taste at the same time to pick all these, or to receive and figure out all these different things about the animals. I would be surprised though if they mated just there. Normally when they do mate, they just move off a tiny bit, move away from the pride and do their thing. He's spraying a bit, maybe trying to impress the lady there. Back to sleep he goes. Folks, let's head over to Brent and see what he's up to on bushwalk.
Welcome. We've changed our whole plan. And a little bit of confusion. Dave is enjoying being rained on. Every time he hits a bush, the rain falls onto his head. It's quite funny for me. I like leading him under ones that are just going to tip and give him a bit of a rain shower. If you saw another person walking around, that's just Herbie making sure we're safe. Now, we changed our plan. We were going to go west. We're now going south. I decided on this cool morning we might have a chance at finding some frogs. So we're heading down towards the mud wallows around Ingwe Alley and Chele Pan. See if we can find any frogs there. Ooh. See, if you look carefully, you never know what you're going to see. Do you see it, Dave? In the middle of the spider web is a spider. I'm not sure which spider this is. And you see it's got that lovely lime green abdomen. Oh, it looks like a type of crab. Maybe not. I'm not sure what type of spider that is. But it's got something. What do you got? I can't see what it is, but it's busy biting into it. Such a delicate web as well, and you can just see the little raindrops caught on the web. Absolutely exquisite. Now let's try go around to the other side without damaging the web, so we can have a look at what the spider is eating. Okay, here we go. I'm not sure what it is. Now, the spider's started wrapping it in silk already. It looks to be some form of flying insect. Hasn't been too good a night for the spider though. I see they've got that it's busy eating. It looks like some form of small flying ant. And down below, it's larder, where they keep spare food, etc. There's only one, so it hasn't had a very good night, so it must be quite a hungry spider. Like the biting flies that have exploded after the rain. I mean, if you look on my legs, there seems to be, oh, there you go. Look at all the biting flies. Yes, no, stomp. And I don't want too many of those on you for too long. So So I said we're going to go look around the pans, see if we can find some frogs. There's always a good chance that Karula likes to come through this area a lot as well. So we are checking for tracks. Tracks are quite difficult after rain and this type of weather, but we're also keeping our ears open for any sign of an alarm call or even a territorial call of the leopards. Since everyone else has found lions this morning, I think it's our job to see if we can find a leopard. And who better than Queen Karula of Djuma. Marco would like to know, could that have been one of the orb spiders? No, Marco. The body shape was completely wrong for an orb spider. They do have those big bulbous backs, but they've got incredibly long legs. The two most common orb spiders we get here are the golden orb and garden orb, which are very distinct. But it's not one of the smaller orbs either. The body shape was wrong. Okay, now let's see. Did Karula come down here? Doesn't look like it. It's always good to just stop and listen for a second. We can hear a lot of birds this morning, but not much else. We can hear a Land Cruiser driving on a road nearby. I think they're going to go right past the back of us. Hide, Dave, hide. No, I'm only joking. It was Ephraim. So we're going to work our way down the edge of this little river system here. Now there are some mud wallows that might potentially hold some frogs up ahead, so I'm quite excited. We haven't seen too many frogs yet this year, so maybe this morning our luck is changing. Now I've said it's a lion morning, and Taylor's with Nkuhumas. Let's go have a look.
It's nice to see the beautiful big cats again. We've been lucky with seeing lion and leopard on both drives, but I'm always happy when the Nkuhumas are of course around. They're my favorite pride of lions that I've ever come across, especially in the dry seasons when they are so good at catching buffalo. But of course it's going to get more and more difficult now, and it's going to start being a challenge, and these little cubs we're hopefully going to realize how spoiled they were during the drought that we had, where unfortunately the buffalo, warthogs, and then of course hippos were unfortunately suffering from the terrible drought and the harsh conditions. And that's how it goes, up and down. Good one moment for the predators during the drought, lots of food available, but now the tables turn slightly as the greenery in the bush starts to get thicker and thicker, sorry. Now it's a little bit more difficult, but there are still a couple of buffalo around, but just a few. Really aren't too many. I love the way when they're having a sleep, when they settle in and they pop their paws up, of course, onto a branch. It always looks so comfortable, but dirty feet. So you can see they've gone down to have a drink somewhere, maybe from a mud wallow. All the mud. And I think they might sleep here. I was hoping we were going to get lucky enough and have them grooming and then sort of up and moving around, seeing as though they haven't moved too far away from where they were last seen yesterday. And I'm wondering, there's a bit of blue sky now, the sun might come out. Now, Leilani, you are wondering if I know how many cubs are here and if they have lost any. Sadly, they have lost. They've lost 2 cubs. We initially had 8 lion cubs, but they died from something called white muscle disease, Leilani. So they've only got the 6 left now, but they're looking strong and healthy. But white muscle disease basically came from the drought that we had. So because there was no grass around, and the very, very little bits of shrub, or bits of grass, that were around, were very, very poor in nutrients. It was just like eating straw, I'd suppose. And a lot of the animals that strictly graze were actually starting to browse as well, so to eat leaves. And their digestive systems aren't always able to digest the leaves as well as they are able to digest grass. And eventually what happened is that there was a lack of nutrients in the grass, which caused the buffaloes to get this condition basically where they were starving to death. They had no nutrients, not enough vitamin E. And when they cut open the carcasses of the buffalo, you should have seen how terrible they look. Also very, very white in color, very pale. And the same thing happened to the lions. The lions were feasting upon the buffalo that had unfortunately succumbed to the harsh conditions of the drought, and they were then not getting any nutrients at all into their system that they needed on a regular basis, and it caused this disease. And 2 lion cubs sadly didn't make it, but luckily the Nkuhumas are a very strong pride with the most amazing genetics, and it seems as though they have pulled through, but we'll see. The success rate of lion cubs is not very high for any of predators really. The fact that 6 have made it and the 3 oldest cubs are 7 months is pretty spectacular. So they've got a fighting chance. Let's see what they get up to now. Now, Alan, you are wondering if the drought affected reproduction at all with the lions? No, it didn't. It actually works in favor, just because there's so much food around for the lions to feast on. As the seasons become greener and greener, it becomes a little bit more difficult because all the animals start to spread out and move around. So it's best that they have, of course, their cubs as early as they can in the year, so that when they start weaning off of their milk and just onto solids, so they start eating solids at a very young age, that there is a lot of food around for them then. We'll keep an eye on that other lioness and see where she's going to head off to. See if anybody's going to follow her. They're looking a lot cleaner though now since we arrived. Perhaps they know that the rain is maybe easing off a little bit, because when we first arrived here they weren't grooming at all. They were just sort of sitting. It was drizzling a little bit. Now they seem to be a bit more relaxed. Oh, finally some action. Let's see where they go.